Lesson 4, Executive Function. Let's say that your child is already a strong reader, but still has some trouble with other things like organization skills, or remembering to turn in assignments, or simply getting started on the assignment at all. You may have come across the term executive function skills as it pertains to these types of challenges. You may have also heard of solutions, like developing a calendar system, or sticking to a consistent schedule, or other strategies to help compensate for all of that disorganization. Yes, I do believe that calendaring skills are good for everyone. Personally, I use them all the time. But for challenges with executive function, I wholeheartedly believe that we are shortchanging our students by only teaching them compensating strategies. We can and we should go deeper. We can develop the underlying cognitive abilities that make compensating strategies irrelevant. Here's what I mean by that. Remember those 5 key areas of successful learning intervention? Those are the underlying cognitive abilities that I'm talking about. Nearly all of them play some part in helping to strengthen executive function. You might recall the 5th category, time, space, and logic. Well, if a child has no concept of time, then writing on a calendar that the assignment is due on Tuesday has very little meaning for them. What day is it today? I don't know. How many days left until Tuesday? I don't know. How many actual hours do you have available to finish the assignment? And, oh, by the way, how much time do you think it will really take you to finish? If a child really doesn't understand how long a minute lasts, let alone an hour or two, you can see how useless for them a calendar might be. Or what about our well-intentioned idea of breaking a large assignment into smaller bite-sized chunks? This sounds like a perfectly reasonable plan, doesn't it? Sure it does. But if they don't understand concepts like first, next, last, before, and after, that strategy may prove to be very challenging as well. Where do they start? How do they prioritize? What comes first? And then, how do they put all of the pieces together? Instead of making one large assignment easier, we may have just turned one assignment into 5 separate assignments that are all just as confusing. No wonder they're resisting doing their homework. It's overwhelming. But here's some good news. Successful students have already developed the building blocks that lead to strong executive function skills. Strong executive function relies in part on strong working memory. Working memory relies on basic memory and sequential memory. In other words, remembering things in sequential order. 1, 2, 3. So where's the good news in all of that? Well, you may recall from the 5 key elements of successful learning intervention that we can identify which kids are struggling with underlying memory, and at an early age. We can provide intervention that helps develop memory skills that are strong enough to support all of those additional layers of learning. So let's take the example of simply writing down an assignment. A successful student listens to the teacher, understands that the teacher is saying something important now, so they'd probably better pay attention. They listen to the words, hold on to those words while they grab a pen and paper or whatever they use to take notes with, and they write it down. Even if the teacher writes the assignment on a physical or digital whiteboard, in addition to saying the assignment out loud, that student is still utilizing working memory, which we can strengthen. Of course, for students with ADHD, we do have to remember that there can be some delay in development when it comes to the prefrontal cortex, which then can hinder executive function development. In my humble opinion, that's all the more reason to strengthen the underlying abilities that lead to strong, supportive executive function skills in the first place. And let's not wait until junior high or high school to do that. Ultimately, if we fail to help students strengthen, for example, the memory piece, all of the rest of it falls apart. Can we really blame them then for not writing down the assignment or not understanding what comes after they complete the assignment? So, dear parents, if you happen to feel the need to follow your child around, checking in with teachers every day to make sure he wrote down the assignment correctly or didn't lose that report somewhere in the crazy abyss he calls his backpack, I understand the frustration. However, please remember to manage those expectations. Understand that it's not laziness. It's not due to lack of caring. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the child feels just as frustrated and confused by it all as you do. If you aren't able to provide learning intervention at home, then I do recommend finding a qualified educational therapist if you can, when you can. But before I leave it at that, let's move on to Lesson 5, one very important secret to helping kids succeed at learning, especially kids with learning differences.